Okay, so the new models just came in. This is the latest satellite picture right here. The reason I'm not running it is uh, because the website Tropical Tidbits which is the satellite imagery I'm using, is experiencing technical difficulties. Let me show you real quick. Like, this is the last few frames right here. Let's do this. Boom, boom, boom. So yeah, it's experiencing some technical difficulties, so we're going to go off that for a little while. Now we're going to first do the intensity models, and then we'll do the location models. Alright, so this is the intensity models. It's Invest 94L is actually strengthened to about 35 knots or 35 miles per hour, which is an increase in the last few hours. So there we are. A lot of the models have it going up. Pretty much every model has it going up to tropical storm force, except for these two right here. This one right here has it going all the way up to about 70 miles per hour at this point, right below hurricane status. So I'll be watching this very closely. And these models at this point, like, it's the disturbance, or the invest is in a favorable area of development. So we'll watch these. I'm taking these with a grain of salt for now, because I know the favorability. I know there's very low wind shear, there's very warm waters, and there's quite a bit of ocean heat content right where it is. Now the track of these, so models seem a bit more split, but here we go. So these three have it making landfall in Mexico. Right here is the EGRI, the UKXI right here, making landfall, going into central Texas. So this model, the TVCM, is a bit weird. It makes landfall just south of the U.S. border, and then comes off to shore, then makes landfall again near Matagorda. So I'll be watching that very closely. But the other models right here, one of them has it making landfall near Corpus Christi. The HWFI having it making landfall near Corpus Christi. These two right here, the AEMI or CEMI, they have it making landfall near Rockport or Port Aransas. Right here, if you're in Texas, you know these places. Then these two, this model right here, has it making landfall in Galveston, basically on Galveston at that point. So that's a pretty new development, so I'll be watching that very closely. This model right here, the HMNI, has it making landfall near Galveston, moving over Houston, basically at Freeport, Texas. That's where it'll make landfall. So yeah, I've been watching this very closely. These models just came in. I think regardless, it's just a wait and see at this point. In my opinion, it's just too early to know how strong this storm is going to get because of those conditions. And I remember Hurricane Harvey in 2017, when it became a tropical depression and tropical storm. Basically, all the models were saying it was going to make landfall as a strong tropical storm or weak hurricane, just like these models are doing right now. And there were a few outliers that had maybe even going up to a Category 2. But then it just rapidly organized. It was in a very favorable environment. It just rapidly organized and intensified, became a Cat 1 hurricane, literally like a day, like 27 hours ahead of schedule. And the next thing you know, it becomes this Cat 4 monster that makes landfall at Rockport and stalls over Houston for 5 days. The good news is this is not going to really stall over anywhere in Texas or Louisiana or Arkansas. It's gonna just be a hurricane. It's gonna be just be a hurricane. It's gonna move. It's just gonna move out. It's not gonna be like Harvey and stall. So that's the good news right there. So at this point, basically, yeah, this is over very favorable waters in the Bay of Campeche, and this thing could go either way. It could just be very slow to organize. Like, this looks a lot better than it did an hour ago. Even, like, the center of circulation somewhere around here, and it looks a lot better than it did an hour ago. It really does. Anyway, I'm going to try refreshing the page real quick. So, yeah. So yeah, it's still glitched at this point, so we're not using that. But anyway, we're going to go back to this. So yeah, basically, this is what the models are. My forecast, it's just too early for my forecast of landfall, because it could be completely wrong. I'm just waiting and watching this as it approaches. I did this with Hurricane Larry. There were models that had it making a very close pass to Bermuda. I took it with a grain of salt. Ended up going not so close to Bermuda. There were some models that had it making landfall in Newfoundland. I looked at them. I said it could, but I said we could, but I didn't say it would. So what I'm gonna say for that is that anywhere on the Texas coast is where it's going to make landfall. That's my guess. I don't trust entirely these models of it making landfall in Mexico, but if it does, it does. But my best guess is that anywhere on the Texas coast is going to see a landfall. I don't have an intensity estimation yet because it's just too early. But it could go either way. It could be a major hurricane that has that potential, but it's just too early. That's all, and it wouldn't even be fair to say, oh, it's just going to be a tropical storm, or oh, it's just going to be a Category 1 hurricane. Hurricane Harvey taught all of us that. You just can't you can't just trust the NHC. You have to basically it's a wait and see. If what it does, it does that. Am I saying it's going to be a major hurricane? Absolutely not. Am I saying it's going to be like a tropical storm? Yes, it's going to at some point during its life. But at this point, I'm not ruling out anything other than a Category 5 hurricane at landfall. That's all I'm ruling out, because it could go either way. I'm not ruling anywhere out in the Texas coast for landfall location. So, in closing argument, if you are anywhere on the Texas coast or anywhere north of Veracruz in Mexico, pay very, very close attention to this. It could make landfall anywhere from Veracruz, Mexico to Beaumont, Texas. That's how scared these models are right now. But my best guess is from Brownsville to Beaumont. That's my best guess. So, anyway, this is the models right now. This is the intensity models for one last look. Take these with a grain of salt. It's just too early to say how strong it's going to get. That's all I have. That's all I really have to say. This is the last satellite image. It looks a lot better on a satellite now than it did an hour ago. So yeah, that's the latest we have on Invest 94L. Be sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for more updates on this storm.